What's up, everyone? You like the Elvis hair? That's how it happened. I don't normally do this, but I am recording this intro today, Thursday, on the day that this episode uh, releases. I am in Keene, New Hampshire, and you can't really tell a lot, but it does look, it's quite beautiful around here. I am at Whistlekick's Marshall Summit. Today is day one. Class is in about an hour and 20 minutes. And the fun begins then. I'm excited. And this is just me expressing gratitude for everything that exists. Today, I sit down with Stephen, who I get to meet later today at Whistlekick Marshall Summit. We have a wonderful conversation about Taoism and Tai Chi and internal art and the philosophies and conceptions that surround martial arts. I have no notes. Stephen has now become a good friend and in some aspects a guide or a teacher, helping me mold my own practice wonderfully. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get something out of it, and keep kicking.
Keep kicking, never quitting. Focus sharp like a blade that's hitting. From white belt dreams to the master flow, Paul Coffey's got the mic, now the stories grow. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Old school, new school, all styles blend. From the mat to the mic, where the arts ascend. Philosophy deep, but the vibe stays tight. Martial minds meeting in the podcast light. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Keep Kicking, a martial arts podcast where I have martial conversations with my martial arts friends. And today I sit down with Stephen. Stephen, do you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Hello. I'm Stephen Watson. Good to know you. Good to meet you. Good to see you. I am the founder, I suppose, the teacher at Someday Farm martial arts school. I'm here in Connecticut. Somedayfarm.org is how you can find me. And I'm basically a philosophy teacher, but nobody comes to study if I hang a shingle that says philosophy lessons. So I hang a shingle that says Kung Fu and Tai Chi and Baguazhang and meditation, and people come to that. And then I try and give them a bit of what they expect and a lot of what I think they need, which is the philosophy.
That's fair. So there before we get in, then there are two things that I need to tell you. Is one
Oh, okay.
in 2012, I gathered all my students up and I said I'm no longer teaching martial arts. That's the bad news. The good news is I'm still teaching. I'm now teaching philosophy in movement.
Yes.
And so you can bring your philosophy and I show you the movements that go along with those philosophies. But the other
Awesome.
thing the other thing is that I always tell people I'm not a very good martial arts instructor. I'm just the best damn student you can have in class with you.
I like that. I
So,
really like that. I'm not the teacher. Yeah. One of my teachers, the way he would describe something similar is that I'm not the teacher. The principals are the teacher. I'm the
mm,
guy who's going to help introduce you to the principals.
that's
And I
good.
happen to I have a key to the school, so I'm going to let you in and turn the lights on. But it's not
Right,
about bowing
right.
to me. It's about meeting the principal. So I rather like that. I thought
No,
um,
love that too.
that makes an awful lot of sense. I
So,
introduce myself as an unteacher. Um,
ooh.
so or if you want to use, you can go with is instructor if you want.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, and the idea is that I'm not so much adding to what you understand. I'm helping peel away to find the authentic original truth. So
Sure.
it's not really about building. It's about clearing away and
Hmm.
unburying the actual thing that you already know,
I
which
love
gets
that.
into the philosophy.
Right. Well, and that's what we do is as martial arts instructors, we teach people to unlearn anyway.
Yes. Yep.
So, so tell me how you got started in martial arts.
Well, I got started in martial arts, not because I was beat up in school, not because I watched Bruce Lee movies, and those are the only two answers people ever have. I had a different reason, and that is that I asked my parents, my mom, why, and I got an answer, and whatever that answer that I got was met again with another why, and I got an answer, and that answer I responded to with why, because I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm actually curious. And then that led me to a book and a library and a teacher and another teacher and back to my mom and then a friend and a friend's parent and a book and another book and another book. And I just kept asking why. And eventually, everybody says, because I said so, or because religion, which is their
Mm,
way of saying, I don't want to hear you keep asking why.
right.
Um, in other words, shut up. And my pursuit of why eventually led me to Taoism. And when I got to Taoism, I thought, hang on, some criminal, some nefarious criminal has studied my brain, probably when I'm inattentive or asleep, written down my ideas and like put them in this old book. And I thought that is somebody should get sued. So I started studying it or reading more about it, maybe I should say. And I thought, oh, this is really close to just what I was already thinking, but I didn't have it clarified and named.
Hmm.
I and probably these are things I picked up in all the other studies of different philosophies and religions and so forth. Anyway,
Hmm.
when I got to Taoism, I thought, okay, I'd like to study this. How do I do that? I assume
Hmm.
there's a White Castle somewhere, and I go up into the stacks of books and I shrivel my body and I read
Hmm.
by candlelight and I learned it all, and then I guess I teach at a college, I guess. And then it turned out that Taoism was, hey, get out into nature and be
Hmm.
natural,
Hmm.
and that's how you do Taoism.
Hmm.
So I thought, okay, that's good. So it's not so much books and lectures and theses that you write. It's walk in the puddles, splash in the puddles, listen to the trees, splash in the water, pick up the dirt and say hello to the chipmunk, and then I thought, so it seems to me that the method here is more physical than intellectual. It's not without intellect, but it's more of physical. It's a physically embodied experience of this life thing that gets called Taoism. And the physical practice was Tai Chi Chuan. So I thought, okay, I guess I'm studying that. And I guess this turns out to mean that I'm a martial artist. And so that's how I got into martial arts, was looking to understand Taoism. And so I'm a Tai Chi guy, I guess, basically that's how people see me. And every other art that I've learned has really just been in service of my understanding Tai Chi Chuan, which is really only in service of my understanding Taoism, which really is only in service of my understanding this kind of whole human experiment, that I find myself in. So
I think I might
plus
like
I was
your
beat up
answer.
in middle school. Yeah. But I just remembered that.
I think I might like your answer better than mine.
Oh, wow.
So, tell me now what kept you in martial arts? What kept you going?
Well, what kept me is the same way that I kind of described that story of every answer that you receive to the question why can be met with the question why.
Sure.
Reasonably, not because you're just trying to, be annoying, but it could be reasonably met with why. And the only time it's not is when somebody says, because religion says so, like, you're not allowed to know why because some God figure, that, or because I said so, right? So somebody that's in authority of some kind was because I said so, right? Those aren't not really answers to the questions. They are ways to end the line of questioning. It turns out that, what the plural of the word why is?
What?
Just say it.
Wise? Oh, fuck's sake.
Right.
Okay,
so,
good. Thanks.
So for me, what kept me is just this pursuit of why. Like, even if you show me like the best technique that would defeat any kick or whatever, I could still say why, and we can explore the anatomy of the hip, and then, well, why is that? Well, I can learn about muscle development in the embryo. Why is it? I don't know. I can learn about chromosomes. Well, why is that? Well, I can learn about calcium ion channels. Why is that? Well, I can learn about the rest of chemistry. Why is that? Well, I can learn about nuclear chemistry. I don't know. So to me, it's just and I love this. There's no end to it. I am not in a thing that I am going to be 91 years old and shriveled, and somebody's going to say, here's your certificate. You've completed everything there is to know about bookmaking or weaving or chair building. There's no end point. And I know that for some people, that's scary and frustrating and overwhelming. I get it. I love the idea that I can't finish this thing. There's always somebody's gonna be like, yeah, but did you know that in my region of Indonesia, what we do? Oh my God! All right, let me learn that. That is amazing. Even if I'm not going to do it, it's endlessly interesting. And so, what keeps me with it, I think, is the same thing that got me into it. The endless series of why, which is the only thing that leads to whys.
I love that. One of the main points of this podcast is it's a love letter to martial arts and all things that are martial arts, right? And so the idea was, let's sit down and talk to other martial artists to get those other perspectives and those other lenses. And so I ask kind of the same questions most of the time, and then they just spawn these conversations.
Yes.
One of the questions that I ask is, why teach? But for you, it seems more like the teaching was an intrinsic part of that question asking. And so then it's like, as you have a cycle that exists that you've already displayed of, I teach a little and then it makes me want to learn more and makes me more curious and teach and more curious and teach and more curious. So,
yes.
So how has that cycle benefited your personal martial arts growth. Like it's keeping you so thirsty that your thirst for knowledge is always there. And so
Yeah.
you're not doing the thing that there's a thing that a lot of martial artists that are tenured do that I kind of hate. And they're like, no, I've been doing this for 40 years. I kind of got everything I need, you know? And so
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
keep doing it, the thing, but they're done learning because they've got what they need.
Well, oh, okay. That's great. I'm thinking like 9 directions to go. And meanwhile, as I mentally kind of begin down those roads, I'm like, did I remember the question? I don't know if you even care because we'll just have a great conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but how has it benefited my martial arts
Yeah.
ness?
Yeah,
Um,
your martial artsness. Love it.
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't care.
Ooh.
I assume it probably did, but I think like my martial arts ness, whether that's martial arts skill, martial arts abilities, martial arts expression, is probably something for somebody else to assess. You know,
Okay.
like the guy I'm sparring or my teacher looking or a student, maybe they could assess that. Would I care if they assessed it? No, I don't really I mean, if they had helpful criticism, I care. Like, hey, here's what great, because
Sure.
now I'm on to another thing to study.
Right.
What I think is interesting is that there's an endlessness to it. And I think that what I am looking for, maybe not the very root, but somewhere on the trunk, maybe closer to the root,
Mm-hmm.
is I'm looking for authenticity.
Mm.
And I don't mean like the lineage and show me your, I don't care about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just mean authentic. There's this phrase that floats around in my head that I haven't figured out where to fit into my writings, but it's authenticity arising or
Mm.
authentic movement arising.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the key to that is sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
So the part that I can work on is the sincerity. Like,
Mm-hmm.
am I really doing the breathing? Am I really present? Am I really taking the best stance I can take? Am I really undistracted and, let's say, single-minded in a given move?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can give the situation, like, I'm picturing myself practicing a, a, a like a homogeneous and thorough sincerity,
Mm-hmm.
I might glimpse authenticity, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I think that's it. My teacher, this is, I don't even know if it was a lesson. We traveled to Boston together to teach, and he was gonna, as I remember, he was gonna teach first, and I was gonna teach later. And you know, you have your duffel bags, you're seeing old friends, you're meeting people, you're figuring out where the
Mm-hmm.
bathroom is, you're tying your
Yeah.
belt on or whatever. You know, that kind of semi-social thing that
Mm-hmm.
happens. And then, all right, you know, it's 10 minutes late, we need to start. The host says, you know, okay, wait. And we stand up, and he says, and I know he's about to teach for 2 hours or whatever the slot was. And he goes, we're just looking for one authentic thing, right? And this is like a thing he said like 30 years
Mm-hmm.
ago when we were there teaching. And, and I just think about that all the time. And I remember I spent like 2 hours just looking at his face, like during all the things
Yeah.
we were doing. I'm just looking at his face because it just changed what I'm looking at. Because I'm always looking at the feet and the hips and,
Yeah,
you know, what
yeah,
are the
yeah, yeah,
mudras?
yeah.
I'm just looking at his face to see if he is like, if his spirit is, um, uh, affected by the rising tide of authenticity, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I assumed I might see it there. Like I might see a flicker of him recognizing it if it shows up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when I say authentic movement arising, I picture his face in that moment in that studio. Um, and anyway, I just think that's a big part of what I'm going for. Now, did I ever get it? Again, ask somebody else. I mean, like I might have mistakenly thought it. Maybe I really do have it. Maybe I mostly have it. I don't know.
So
But
what's interesting, you're speaking from this place of like physical awakening almost, like
mhm.
the goal is
Yeah,
that physical, you know, realization. Not that I've had it, but like that's where you're speaking from.
yeah. And I would say for me, my language is never to use the term goal.
Hmm.
As you can imagine, goal is what the preacher and my parent wanted, which is for me to stop saying why. And their goal was accomplished by saying, because it says so in the scriptures, or because I said you're annoying me, or it's time to go to school, it's time to go to bed, or because I said shut up, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Of course, I'm painting a picture like my mom was mean, or I don't, I'm just sort of exploring the metaphor. Um,
Right, right.
but that is a goal, and a
Hmm.
goal is an end of movement. And
Sure.
the end of movement is the end of livingness, and livingness is movement, and death is stillness, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so for me, I pursue what I refer to as the goalless path, which
Hmm.
is direction, not destination.
Hmm.
So it's not a goal to be authentic, but it's a
Hmm.
pursuit. And maybe
Sure.
the pursuit is on a circular track. And so I visit it on occasion every time I pass. And maybe it's a pursuit where I never reach it, or I pass it occasionally. I don't really know.
Mhm.
Um,
I
but
think
it
it's
seems like
this.
a worthy pursuit. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It
as
might
it
be.
goes forward, this
Yes.
track you get it sometimes, I think.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure. Yeah.
so in all transparency, Stephen,
Hmm.
this
Please.
podcast is in part selfish
Yes.
because as a martial artist, I'm like always constantly working through things, and so then I like
Yes.
bring those things up to gentlemen that I have on this podcast like yourself,
Great.
and we have the conversation about it. So when first of all, for the audience, I am going to Whistle Kicks Martial Summit. I will be meeting Steven in like 3-ish
Yes.
weeks
In
from time of
person.
this recording. Yeah, live and in the flesh, where we can poke each other in the cheeks. And
Yeah. Can I pinch your cheek? Can I, like a
if you
grandma?
want to, absolutely, absolutely. And my grandmother was the only person that ever did that to me.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
so
Yeah, that's in
in
Keene, New Hampshire in November, like the first weekend of November, something.
yeah, yeah, first
Yeah.
weekend of November. You better get the dates lined up if you're going to be there.
I am a Taoist, so there's no way I know the dates for sure. But my calendar will pop up, and I'll say, "Oh, I should get in the car," and that's how I live my life. Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah, I don't celebrate a birthday. I don't know what day it is. It's not
Okay,
not part of my thinking. But I will be there. I am a
that
professional.
sounds great. I would
Yeah.
rather have that be my existence. Maybe I got to get to that. So, I am teaching a class that is called
Yes.
Free to Flow. Okay,
Free to flow. Is that like start with free and arrive at flow, or the freedom to flow?
the freedom to flow.
Okay. All right, cool.
Okay,
So I understand.
yes, and so it's a new concept. When I go and I teach this class, which I've been teaching it here and kind of workshopping it, and moving the kinks out as one does. I say today I'm not teaching. Today we're learning together. I
Yes.
want to
Okay, great.
I start with
I
that, and
like it. I like it. That's great.
express that, like, hey, this is a concept that I was just turned on to not too long ago, and I am we're workshopping it as we go so that people know.
Great.
So I'm not going to teach this whole concept to you, but I'm just giving you the basis of where we start so that I can pick your brain about it.
Well, I'm interested.
Okay. So first of all, I don't use the word relax anymore, because there is some natural tension that exists in the body in order for us to walk or stand or move. So like relax is confusing to a student that doesn't understand those differences, those
As a Tai
nuances.
Chi teacher, I can
Mhm.
say that is correct. That is universally correct. Yes.
So we're saying, instead of um instead of relax, I don't want you to relax, but I do need you to be free to flow. Okay.
Mm,
Okay. And so
mm-hmm.
then what it came from is the martial application. I'm going to give myself a little bit more camera here of if I do just a regular kung fu yield, maybe I do a cloud hand block, right? So when I do this block, I've blocked, it's very effective, but this side of my body is now bound up. So I have to work to get this side back into play, right?
Correct.
So that's where it started. And the idea was, can I do minor changes to my physiology to where the yield still exists, but exists in such a micro way that maybe it's just a shoulder move back and drop and then my arms back in place.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're dissecting all that. We're dissecting like, how can I yield with a punch in a way that still allows me to move forward, to continue walking, to continue
Yes.
fighting or breathing or whatever, right? So
Yes.
the question to you is, from the lens that I just gave you, how do you feel about yielding versus moving? Because it feels like yielding is a term that if I tell somebody that doesn't understand martial arts, they make it about completely giving themselves over, versus what I'm teaching that is like, we're just moving just enough to not get hurt.
Mm-hmm. So, if we are doing a martial art that is principle based,
Mm-hmm.
then we can perhaps presume that principles apply universally. Otherwise, they're not principles.
Sure.
So, if I was talking to the martial arts teacher that says, "How do you deal with this?" Well, I block. Okay, fine. If I talk to the acupuncturist and I say something's blocked, they're like, "Not fine. That's not good." So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm thinking, well, why would I block? Like, block is stopping flow. So if I'm doing it, even if I'm doing it to you, I'm not keeping the principle universal. So
Mm-hmm.
how do I help your energy not block? Now, I also don't want it to smash me in the nose, such as was your plan,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to stop it. I want to encourage it to flow.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, I want mine to be encouraged to flow.
Mm-hmm.
When we speak about yielding, I'm a Tai Chi guy, so yielding is like a term of art in Tai Chi. So I may
Mm-hmm.
think of the term differently than somebody that just knows the English word yielding.
Mm-hmm.
But yielding is an attitude, it's a strategy, it's a tactic, it is a description of the structure that I built,
Mm-hmm.
and it is active. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a
Mm-hmm.
passive yielding. So in order for me to yield, I may need to meet. I may need to come forward or advance. I may
Mm-hmm.
need to touch. And I'm not touching to stop or to block, but I'm touching, in Tai Chi, we call it understanding skill.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm touching to
Mm-hmm.
understand. It's built on the skill that's referred to as listening skill, a cultivated skill of listening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to repeat that once more for your male audience members. It's the cultivated skill of listening, listening, listening. And so we have this,
Okay.
we have this skill of meeting, not in an effort to block, but through listening to understand, and through
Mm-hmm.
understanding to yields, which often looks like redirection, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to your point, um, thinking about, think I'm on the camera, this kind
Yeah.
of wave hands movement where I'm kind of bound up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
if I yield to a given input,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't foresee that I'm unable to yield to the next input,
Mm-hmm.
such as to return the arm because I'm bound up, then I've
Mm-hmm.
kind of over yielded, right? So if you think
Mm-hmm.
about a race car driver taking an S turn, if
Mm-hmm.
you can take the first curve like slowly or fast on different lines, right? And there's like a bound on either speed and braking and turning that you can do, but it's extra bounded by the next turn the other direction. So you're constrained because of what's coming up. So I'm not simply constrained by what I can physically do here, like in a qigong or a Daoyin movement, but in terms of what my tactical plan is, whatever, to come back. So thinking of this idea of free to flow rather than relaxing, I think is going to be very helpful. And I'll bet you're going to get to like a whole thesis on it, like not just an exercise or a teaching point, but like there's going to be a lot to that. One thing is I don't like to talk about the goal of relaxation that people have because I'm not a goal teaching person. But the part that I can do is I can release, right? And I can release through melting and softening, and breathing and shifting my internal intention. So for example, like I'm putting my vest on and I release it. So it relaxed, like it fell, but it was limited because my shoulders are there. If I had my vest off, I could release and maybe it fully relaxes to the ground, right?
Right.
But the part that I can address is I can do the releasing. I can do the melting, the softening of the fingers. And then how far relaxed something gets is not entirely up to me, right? And like your point with this receiving and then return, right? The funben in Chinese, this movement, what I like to see is somebody that can relax into expression. So it's not like a one-way journey down a well. It's what creates a sine wave, if you like. What rebounds and returns, or is cyclic. So it's not the mathematical abstract of relaxation, like go to zero, but it's move in this direction. Again, direction, not destination. That will take me around the serpentine, vagaries of movement and structure and all the various needs that a martial artist might have. That might be different than if I'm doing qigong or neigong or receiving a massage. I might want more of a sort of overt relaxation. That's different.
You know what you just taught me is that what is important for us as martial artists to teach how to remove is the anticipation. Because the way that you're talking about it's a continuing thing. This really does help this class because free to move means continuing of movement. It doesn't mean there's a goal to complete. If you have a goal, you have that anticipation,
right?
So part of what this is what you've just done for me. Part of the binding up is this is a cloud hand that the anticipation is a block. Well, the block has an endpoint, and the endpoint is what creates that binding.
Right.
So that's great.
And I think, the block can happen in terms of like a neurologic block, a circulatory system block, a tight muscle, a joint that's strained, all kinds of things like that. And it can also happen with my breath. Like, is my breath smooth through the receive and the return, or the receive, transition, and return? Right? Is my breath smooth? Is my mind smooth, right? Did my mind hurry through a part? Did it freeze at a part? Did it get startled? Did it hurry to the next thing? Is my mind smooth? Is my breath smooth? Is my physicality smooth? Physicality meaning sort of shape, structure, gesture, right? Like if I'm, tight here or something. And then is the movement of the two parties smooth, right? I want smooth movement. Because smooth can become fast, right? Non-smooth doesn't become fast, and I'd like it to be able to. Smooth is also predictable, right? Once you have a path, there's predictability, and that becomes the real power that I have as a self-defender, which is that
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a smooth breath and brain place. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to access my great tool when you're not, because I'm busy
Mm-hmm.
taking you out of line, off balance, misdirected, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I block you, I tend to keep you where you are. I just close you and forestall your plan, but I don't um
Mm-hmm.
unbalance you, right?
Because there's not that end because of the goal is
Yes,
removed. God, I
right.
love it. Love it. Okay, so here's the tough question that everybody gets asked.
It was
And
him.
it was him. So
I wasn't there. I have an alibi.
that's fine. That's good. Um the question is, how do you teach nonviolent people to be violent? And so really like what it is this. As a lifelong practitioner of martial arts, I do recognize that there is some form of me that is sadistic and masochistic.
Right.
I take pain as one of the learning tools and as one of the shaping tools. I am okay with delivering pain because I understand what happens when I go through it. I have a fundamentally different experience as a human being. You saw my interview
Mm-hmm.
on Whistle Kick, so you kind of have
Yes.
an idea of my background. I am
Yes.
teaching, when I teach, a lot of individuals that come from the same or similar background of trauma. And
Yes.
what I have found is if they're not lifelong practitioners of martial arts, their trauma doesn't allow them to hurt other people because they say, I've been dehumanized, I've been hurt, I've been devalued, and I don't want those
Yes.
things to happen to somebody else. And so it becomes, how do I teach them to do what needs to be done if it needs to be done?
Okay. Great question. I
Thank you.
deeply appreciate your trauma-informed teaching, vulnerability,
Thank you.
openness, honesty, and offering to people. It's really, really important and inspiring. So thank you very,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Um, okay, I'm gonna talk to you like you're my student now. So
Okay.
this won't be as
Okay.
fun.
No, no.
So the question is,
I'm a student by nature. So.
how do you teach them to be violent when it's not in their nature? I'm sure I'm
Mm-hmm.
paraphrasing you.
Yeah.
And how do you get them to do what they need to do,
Mm-hmm.
in a situation?
Mm-hmm.
So let's address the second one first. How do you get them to do what they need to do in a crisis?
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop by thinking they need to do what you think they need to do. They may not need to break an arm, kick him in the groin, choke him, poke his eye with his thumbs. It might not. You do know that, and it
Mm-hmm.
does work for you,
Mm-hmm.
given who you are and who you become. And you can prove it and make sense and point to all the reasons it's effective. But that doesn't mean it's
Mm-hmm.
the only way to be effective. That's disappointing because you and I have all the cool martial arts stuff. I can't wait till I show you all the ways the elbow works. But that's not really serving them. It's starting with our presumption that what they need to do is what I happen to be good at. That may not be true. So first, soften up to perhaps allow what I just said to sink in, that perhaps what you want to be true and are an expert in is not going to be true for them, or at least not in the time period that you'd like. So we
Mm-hmm.
might say, perhaps you're too impatient for them to get to the point where they say, now that I've blocked everything, could I ever punch him? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. Like, here's all the cool, that's what the Maki War is for. Come on. But they might not ask that for 26 years.
Right.
And that doesn't fit. That's you being impatient,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
as I started by saying, they might not ever ask that, and it might not actually be necessary. It's just what you, in a limited way, believe,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in that limited way, you might have a very deep pool, but there may be other
Mm-hmm.
options. How do you get somebody to be violent who is not violent? I think is more or less how you said it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same question. Um, so one of the ways that I teach, so I teach nonviolence as a practice. I
Mm-hmm.
teach nonviolent communication as a practice. I teach crisis communication as a practice, and I
Mm-hmm.
teach an entire martial art that's based on nonviolence.
Mm-hmm.
In that martial art, when I'm teaching it, there is never an attack. There is only an offering. You're
Mm-hmm.
offering such and such an energy for me to practice with that energy. There is never an opponent because there's no againstness.
Mm-hmm.
And my job in that art is to lead you to stasis or lead you away, right? So we can break contact. So that might look like putting you on the ground or sending
Mm-hmm.
you off, in a front roll or something like that, so that I can make my escape. That's not as satisfying as somebody says, but wait, you have a putter kapala and then you have the arm crank and plus the fish hook that great. That is fun. And I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what it comes down to is starting from square one with what does personal space feel like to that person, and can it grow and shift and mature and change, morph,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
not permanently, but maybe over a session, the personal space experience and allowance and and importance shifts, right? So you create a comfortable atmosphere, you're a
Mm-hmm.
comfortable manner, the people that are in the class, and that sort of thing. Um, and then you start to manage all the different levels of personal space, right? We have like
Mm-hmm.
public space and friendly space and intimate space, and often martial space is even closer than that. Like
Right.
I'm happy to be. I just met you, and you're chewing on my earlobe, doing it. Cool. This is that's fun for us. But to kind of start with, all the things that you and I like, if we met in person, I would imagine you might like throw a punch at me, like, oh, cool. Oh, I see. That's a little Kempo. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, and you would just absolutely presume I'm gonna think it's funny and we'll have a cool
Mm-hmm.
story. And maybe I
Mm-hmm.
did a cool move. Maybe your move is cooler and I didn't block, and that's our story.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody that has trauma, for example, right? Or maybe just shy or physically
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable or
Mm-hmm.
anxious around certain types of people, whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
um, they don't have the same starting point as you and I. And their starting point
Mm-hmm.
might be 16 feet apart. So how
Mm-hmm.
do I work my martial arts stuff there and wait for them to invite different spaces? Meanwhile, under the surface, I'm like, I can't wait till you get close enough I can show sidekick. Fine, that's your own issue, not theirs. And and then how do you get them to be violent if they're not violent? Start to learn how they feel about contact, which follows the space, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is reasonable contact? Maybe you can suggest to them once they're ready for contact, what contact would be appropriate. Well, I guess I wouldn't mind if you touched my shoulder. And then you're like, fine, let's work with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have a technique for that. We'll just imagine it's a grab. We're just touching. And I'm not going to actually land any of these things, but I'm going to practice the footwork and the breathing and getting my guard up.
Mm-hmm.
I know you and I both know there's a whole bunch more in that technique, but that's what they're comfortable with. And when they get more comfortable, then you can involve the voice. You can involve the breathing. You
Mm-hmm.
can see how they are with the startle response, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're working to manage their emotions. They're working to regulate their emotions. They're working to regulate their neurologic function. They're in a psychological space, and rather than hurrying them to do the violence, having them start. So this is like the white belt level, is understanding physical space, then
Mm-hmm.
understanding their body moving in their own physical space safely. So like doing a kata or something kind of easy, you got stuff for that, right? Or
Yeah.
push-ups and
Yeah.
stretches, like you can do that totally.
Mm-hmm.
And then can you do that near other people, or in the room with other men, or in the room with kids, or in the whatever it is? And then can you do it nearby? Maybe you can do paired stretching, or paired exercises. Maybe we're not touching, but you're just counting for me, or holding the thing I jump over. Maybe that's how. Maybe you steady me while I do these squats, but not really touching, but I'm touching you. And there's a difference for people between I won't touch you, but you can touch me during this exercise. Like, and then if they want to, they can. Great. And then maybe over time, they're willing to let me hang on to you while you do it, or let me throw a punch, but I'm not going to stay here while you do your 16 Kempo combo. I'll just do this, and I'll understand that. So it's just it's a slow, patient. What are their bounds? And those bounds are going to be space, then contact, and violence is way down here, because violence is swiftness of movement is violence, right? A tornado is violent if it doesn't touch anybody. That's violent, right? Violent is raising the voice or the choice of words. Violent, and I know this sounds a bit woke, but violent could be like the tone of voice or the face you make, right? That might be just very low grade. That's fair. But kind of recognizing that for somebody, because just like what you think is sexy is likely to be a bit different than me. And, just, all right, well, you're into that. I'm into that. That's reasonable. What somebody thinks is violent is, there's probably a lot of stuff we can agree on, but there's probably, oh, okay, that's on some level, that's a little violent for you, maybe a small violence, right? And so starting with as little of that as you can, voice changes, loud voices, loud movements, fast movements, proximity, and then you're helping somebody grow themselves to perhaps where they're happy, like you and I are, like, yeah, let me show you this. I just want to show you this quick choke I learned. Oh, what was your name again? Doesn't matter. Oh no, that's cool. Here I'm tapping. Right? Like we would be that. And because that's so fun, like you're laughing and smiling, and like that's just so good. It's just fun to do it, even if I do it poorly. It's so much fun. It's very easy, the more experienced you get in martial arts, to forget how far away we are from that other kind of normal person who just, I don't even want you punching near me, like that freaks. And maybe not even from a previous trauma, just that's a lot, the stuff that we take for granted. So I would say, not trying to get them to be violent, trying to understand what their understanding of violence is, and starting with movement, shape, voice, proximity, and then earning your way, I guess, up to some contact, to what maybe you consider normal baseline martial arts contact, and then just being patient about it. Like, it may never happen. There may be other answers for them, and what they're going to get out of martial arts is just how to have a good stance, how to get their hands up, how to run, how to survive a beating. But they're never really going to learn how to, like, kick and punch and throw you down and get their blue belt. Maybe that's not what they're going to get out of martial arts. I know martial arts has a bunch more, if only they would get there, but they might never get that, So then it's, as a teacher, becoming okay with that,
I think you got like, there was a line where I was and couldn't get past, and you have got me
Yes.
past that line.
Yay.
So I thank you for that.
Oh, I'm so glad. So glad.
Because, so first of all, I don't teach a self-defense seminar.
Yes.
And I haven't, I did it in like 2001. I was the last time I've done a self-defense seminar.
Okay.
And I was contracted for the Jefferson County Circuit Court clerk to come in and do like one of their training things. But I just feel it so incredibly disingenuous and somewhat egotistical for me to say, yeah, in 4 hours I could teach you how to defend yourself, because
yep.
Talk about an impossible task, right?
Yes.
So what I do instead is self-defense clinics and my
Yes.
clinic is just a class that's weekly or bi-weekly. And so
Great.
now we're doing this class where we're able to build on it. If you miss a week and then you come back, you're still not missing the week because we're just
Right.
continuing the discussion over and over and over again.
I like it.
Um, and
I've
I
been
also
doing a self-defense for a few years that I think maybe we kind of came to a similar place, like I don't like that dishonesty of, well, just come in for 2 hours and I'll teach you how to avoid, but
right.
what I do is I give them a whole list. It's almost like an index in a comprehensive self-defense book. So it's just little
Mhm.
phrases and names. I'm like, here's all the stuff we might pick from and cover. And the
Mhm.
truth is in any given session, we're going to cover one or two.
Mhm.
But I want to place it in the greater world of there's a lot, and all we're
Mhm.
doing is we're just thinking about how you get into your car safely. That's all we're going to be
Right.
able to cover tonight,
Right.
or we're just covering, uh, you know, uh, the crisis communication or pepper spray or
Mhm.
whatever it is. So it's module. I'm working on a certification program, and I think right now it's going to be like 36 hours of study to get through all that stuff. And it's all like notebook and chair, like very little get up and do stuff. Like I just want you to understand all of this stuff before you're out there doing your yellow belt defense against a punch number two.
I love this. I want
Mm,
to talk to you offline about working
all
on
right,
it because there's a lot
cool.
of similarities.
Awesome.
So here's some of the things that I've incorporated. One
Okay.
is obviously the soft skills, teaching people to talk through situations, teaching people just situational awareness.
Yes.
My master says I can teach you one technique that will ensure that you will win 100% of bar fights.
Paying
D-
attention.
Don't go to bars.
Don't go to bars. Great. I
I
dig
mean,
it.
if you're not there, you know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
For
But like
sure.
also that paying attention, being self-aware, not face in phone, walking or whatever. And
Yes.
I teach my self-defense people how to walk. Like, let's posture up. Let's not be victim walking around already. So those are some of the
The
things
less
that
you
like
look
we,
like
we
food,
teach.
the less likely you are to get eaten.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Another thing that I do and am going to do when I'm in Keene is I teach crisis intervention as
Hmm.
well. So, my senior students come with me to my self defense clinics. And
Uh-huh.
while my self defense clinic students are working, my martial arts students are working on how would we use the techniques that we already have to break up some situation.
Right.
How do I intervene? And then we get to a point of I don't want to just intervene. Okay, the idea of two people fighting and there's a
Right.
confrontation. The person that's the savior, the person that's a superhero, intersects in the between.
Right.
When you intersect in between, you have to hit both fists. And so
Yep.
you also hit that fist that was innocent.
Yep.
And so we're learning the techniques of how to grab and manipulate a body away from another body without encroaching into that person's space. They were just attacked. They're in
Right.
shock. They're the victim, and we don't want to
Yes.
extra victimize them. So we learn stuff like that. That's other stuff that
Great.
I
I love
also
it. That's necessary stuff. That's really good.
I'm also making sure that everybody has their why. Okay?
Hmm.
Because not everybody has enough self-worth to fight for themselves. But
True.
maybe your why is your dog or your kids or a loved
Yes.
one or the plant that you have
Yeah.
grown for 12
Somebody that you
years that
take
you
care
have
of at
to
home.
water. Right.
Sure.
So these are
That's
all
very helpful. And that's a really important thing that many martial artists who teach as a career, they take that for granted. Like, of course, you want to defend yourself, right? And
mhm,
then we never cover, well, what if somebody didn't agree with that? Of course, you have to defend yourself because there's a self worth thing, for example.
mhm.
And figuring out a way to recognize that and, I don't know, direct their attention or build it, I'm not sure, I think is be very important. And that's similar to what I was saying with, I might not be, as a martial artist, aware of how I collapse personal space and I'm perfectly comfortable. And that might make somebody uncomfortable. In the same way, I might just start with, well, obviously you protect yourself and let's do the workshop. And meanwhile, two people are like, wait, you said obvious, but that's not obvious. And I
Right.
don't even know how I build that. So that's a very important element. That comes up more when I teach kids than adults, but I think I probably should
Really?
make sure it's there with adults. Yeah.
Why does it come up more with kids, do you think?
Well, I think with kids, especially younger, kids, um, they may kind of presume that whatever the adult is doing is fine. And so
Mm.
if it's harmful to me, I guess it's still fine because they're doing it or it's happening. And the idea of I need to stand up for myself, speak up for myself, defend myself might not be there because my cues are reflexively taken from the grown-ups in the world. And so it's like a type of normalcy bias where I guess this is normal. So I'm just going to do what I'm told. And it doesn't really occur to them like I need to stand up for myself. Not all kids, but it's more likely that I make that case before I start showing them anything. Yeah.
Sure. I love that, but I will say that my Zen master, my Zen teacher, has always said that we're all children experiencing the world. We don't ever really grow up.
Well,
And so,
if your Zen teacher's wrong, I can tell you this. Here's
oh,
why. Because
okay.
if it's really a Zen master, they wouldn't have said anything. So. Or you were such a bad student, they had to say it out loud. They're like,
That's
all right,
probably
fine.
it. That's probably
I'm
it.
going to break my 6-year vow of silence because Paul does
I'm
not get.
I am so egregiously stubborn.
Yeah.
You got,
Oh, it's so
I,
funny.
I am a Taurus, and I
Yeah.
don't always subscribe to
Right.
astrology, but I do
Yeah.
subscribe to. I am 100% just
Stubborn.
yeah, heels in the
I do,
sand, brother.
I do like I do like the we're all just kids,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
in aging bodies. I'll have to
Hmm.
send you, I recorded a meditation recently. Something I've been doing a lot more is posting guided meditations. And one of them
Hmm.
is about kind of that head down, go forward into the difficulty. So that might resonate for
Hmm.
you.
Oh
So I'll
yeah,
have to
yeah.
send it to you afterwards.
You read as a martial artist, you read the Hakakura and it says head down, press forward, and I'm like, I got
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know?
all set. What else is
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
What next?
Yeah, for sure. How does Zen influence your non-Zen martial arts practice?
Ooh. Um.
And I'm thinking here of like Chan Buddhism, not so
Yes.
much
Yes.
like
Yes. Yes.
Zazen. Not just the Zazen, but
Chen.
the
And
mindscape.
also like so a couple of different ways. One is, and I say Zen master because he's my Zen
Yeah,
guide. You know,
yeah,
um,
sure.
like we there's this lovely book called The Practice of Zen, and in it the author, before teaching Zen, he teaches that Zen is a mispronunciation of a mispronunciation.
Of Chan Buddhism.
Because
Yeah,
Zen
yeah,
is the mispronunciation of Chan,
sure.
and
Mm-hmm.
Chan is a mispronunciation of the original word, which is now lost to ether. It's just
Mm-hmm.
gone.
That is right.
And
Yep.
and the mispronunciation of the mispronunciation was a lesson that taught me the that taught me in martial arts that my thrust punch is a mispronunciation of a thrust punch, but it's my mispronunciation, so it still is
Mm.
accurate. Do you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
reinforced that. And then um the second lesson that was most beneficial to me was stop being the poor boy you were born to be and just be. And those words
Mm,
resonate with me in a way that I can't
mm.
express. I was originally heard those probably 15 years ago, and I still get the
Stop
same.
being the poor boy you were meant to be. No,
Stop being
stop
the
being the
poor
poor
boy
boy.
you were born to be, and
Uh-huh.
just be.
Yes.
And what that did for me is
Mm,
that took my victim lens out of everything. You know, like what we talked about,
right.
victimized as a child, and then starting martial arts at 10. So now at
Yes.
42, I'm like, what do you mean you don't want somebody to bear hug you and throw you to the ground?
Mm-hmm. Right,
But
right.
that it gave me better. It made me more better informed of
Yeah.
where I am, where I can be, where I need to be. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
Zen became the breath of relaxation of, oh, you survived and you can give yourself a break.
Yes. So
So people don't ask me questions on my podcast. That's what
that
we're
that
doing.
that what you just said, Zen can be the relaxation, the Zen breath can be the relaxation. You've done it, you've survived, you can let go.
Mm-hmm.
Making that phrasing, which is to the whole being,
Mm-hmm.
the phrasing that you use to the tension in the body that you're trying to get somebody to feel the flow,
Mm-hmm.
to freedom to flow. Um, Thinking of that as a microcosm, like whatever the tension is, like you survived the Zen breath, that part's over. Might be
Mm-hmm.
a way to get somebody to relax
Yeah.
through that deeper um insight that you have through Zen. So pretty awesome.
Mm.
Very, very cool.
Oh, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Stephen.
I like it.
This one's going to run long, and I'm not even going to ask you if you're okay with talking to me for a little while longer. So,
I'm happy to do it as long as you want.
okay. So we're going to meet each other in person in like
Yes.
3 weeks at this Marshall Summit. And I start by telling my audience that I am enamored by Whistle Kick, and I'm enamored by the principles
Mm,
that they founded themselves with and are standing on. And if you're a martial artist, you should check out the organization and see if you could be a part in some capacity. But for those who don't know, including myself, what does
yes.
Marshall Summit look like? What should I expect? What expectations should be removed?
Ah, good. I like it. So it happens on November 8th, that weekend. November 8th is a
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. November 8th is Free Training Day, which is a
Mm-hmm.
part of the larger Marshall Summit, which I think goes from Thursday to Sunday, maybe
Yep.
Monday, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly the dates.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, it it's a group of people that seem to me are getting together for all the reasons we want martial artists to get together, and not so much the ones we don't, such as peacocking, self-aggrandizement,
Mm-hmm.
kudos. Um, there aren't a lot of stiff people wearing their full uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Some people wear uniforms. It doesn't seem to me like too many. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
kind of need it for the thing that they're doing, like the judo guy wants the thing for the lapel grabs or something, but not too much. There's just a bunch of good-natured camaraderie. There's never enough time to connect with everybody that you have a fleeting,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to follow up. So what I tell people is like, get there early, stay late, whatever that means. Get up early, say yes to everything. Somebody says, I'm going for a swim in the hotel at 5 a.m. You know what? I'll be there. Don't say,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a morning person. Just go there. Even if you're going to have your coffee while they do laps, you never know. You're going to run into somebody else in the lobby that's doing a form, and they're going to know your teacher who passed away, and somebody else is going to relate something to you and connect you to some book or some other
Mm-hmm.
event that happens. Um, so it's really this bunch of people that are just interested in being supportive and friendly and not really supporting the ego. A whole bunch of it doesn't cost anything, so that's really nice. I don't know how it breaks out. I know Saturday is meant to be a free day. So literally don't bring your wallet. Just show up, train all day. You could pack your own lunch. You could bring a few bucks to buy a lunch here or there. But and mostly the people aren't there trying to hustle their own thing. Like they're not disguising their workshop as a, and that's why you should buy my DVD. And
Right.
they have a bunch of, there's not a bunch of that. I mean, people might have a few of their things, but there's not, everybody's not setting up a table trying to promote their thing. They're just like,
Sure.
this is a chance to share my point of view. And it goes really fast. So you're just going to get like one or two nuggets out of every workshop. So bring a notebook and like bring something with your, however you want to be in touch with people that you can hand out, just because it saves time. Like you're going to say we should connect, but then you won't see the other person till midnight the next night at the restaurant. And you're like, oh, I forgot. And just like, here's my card or something. Like I wrote down my Instagram, whatever, like just have something really easy. Because you're going to want to connect with a bunch of people. And, you know, they have specialized training there. They have, this year, they have a kids track where there'll be things special for kids to be studying so that people can bring kids and do adult stuff, but the kids are studying too. And I presume they get back together at mealtime and stuff like that. I don't know what else you have for me in particular. It's in Keene, New Hampshire. And this is year 45. I'm making that up, but we'll just assume it's the 45th year. Uh, it's one of those things that more people than not that I know in the martial arts, they put it on their calendar. January, when they open their new calendar, is the first thing they fill in. And then everything else has to find its time in their vacation from work and everything else. Like that's the one they put down first. It's a must do. And the group works really hard. I know as part of it, there's what they call the Never Settle Awards. So there's a banquet that they have where they give out the awards. And there's really, I think, like 5 awards. So it's not a terribly long award program. And you have dinner and you get to meet people. I think people dress up for it. So it's kind of fun if that's your thing. And the awards are really just not for, you know, who's the best all-time, you know, sparring person or breaking boards. It's much more thoughtful, the sort of awards. Like you're awarding like parents of kids who like never miss a chance to drop off the kid even though they have 6 kids, or people that help out in the studio but not the head teacher, but that person in your studio who's always staying late to clean up or covering something when one of the assistant instructors is ill and they're sort of in the background and they're a purple belt but they're there all the time. So they have a bunch of awards, like not a bunch, I think there's 5, that are really, really meaningful and they're different. So that's a pretty special part of it too. So that's a few things that come to mind.
I love that.
This year,
The other thing
yeah.
about this podcast was just a knowledge share, because there are instructors that I would have loved to have talked to in this capacity, but they're no longer with us. And
yes,
you know, it's just we can't archive their thoughts and opinions and perspectives.
My plan for Whistle Kick this year was not to teach and just to encourage people I know to go teach for the first time. So I spent a lot of time. That was delicate because people were like, "Oh, I'm not that, you know, I'm not worthy, and I'm not you, and I'm not gonna." And so I did a bunch of trying to get these people to teach. And then when the founders of Free Training Day and Martial Summit asked me to teach anyway, I was like, "How about I co-teach with a couple of people?" And my idea was like, I want to help these 2 people who wouldn't have maybe been teaching on their own, like co-teach. Like if I do it with them, they'll do it. But really, it's a chance to bring them. So I'm going to be teaching this year with Vinny, who I think is 11 years old. We're going to co-teach. We're going to teach a workshop, and we're going to be dressed in costumes for the whole workshop. So it's going to be really funny. But I don't think he's amazing, but I don't think he would ever say I should teach. I don't think I'm an adult, right? He would think, but I was like, how about if we do this thing together? And he's in. So I'm going to do that. And so I'm really more excited this year than I have been before. So pretty exciting.
I love that idea, and I also love the. Have you heard about this wheel class on Sunday?
I don't know what the wheel class is. Is it a
Are
Kempo
you,
wheel?
no? Are you going to be a
No.
part of Sunday teaching?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
Sunday
sure
teach.
when. I'm not sure when I'm there because I'm a Taoist, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm up there at some point. I just don't know. I think probably.
Well, so
I don't know what the
Sunday,
wheel is.
Jeremy got with me and he's like, "We want you to teach on Sunday, but you have to be a part of this wheel." And what it is they teach the first hour somebody teaches, and then the second hour you teach, and it relates to the first hour.
Oh yeah, great.
And then the
I dig it.
third hour teach, and it relates to the second hour for et cetera, to where it
Oh,
feeds back into itself. And then the last person has to teach and relate to the previous and the first, has to close the wheel.
oh, I could do that. Yeah. One of my favorite ways to do is this sort of ping pong teaching
Hmm.
where you teach a thing and then you did your, let's say, 10 minutes, and then you
Yeah.
throw it to me. And I just did that this morning with another teacher. And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, now that we've stretched that out, it could be used for this.
Mm-hmm.
Or here's a way to counter that.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing something that had us spinning, so I'm going to do something that gets your head spinning. Or what,
Mm-hmm.
I love to have that thematic tennis match kind of
Mm-hmm.
send it back and forth. That's way fun. Yeah, no, I didn't hear about that. I'm finally going to learn some wheel martial arts.
Oh, the simple ones get me so
I'm
much.
going to tell Jeremy, I really like that class.
Oh my god. Oh, you got a dozen of them. That's good.
Yeah, gotta have it. Yeah.
Yeah, what's green with four wheels?
What's green with four wheels?
Grass.
A
I lied
water.
about the wheels.
That's good. I love it. I love it. That's so good.
uh, so two more. One,
Please.
what do you think the average martial arts student neglects in their own practice?
Uh, Understanding bias.
Mm.
Yeah. Understanding bias. If it wasn't that, I would probably say de escalation skills. So understanding de-escalation, I think really, really important. Obviously, it's a whole giant encyclopedia of stuff to do there.
Sure.
You don't need to be an expert on it, but having some idea about how to address yourself towards de-escalation
Mm-hmm.
and understanding bias. Like we 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 never exist without bias,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is an interesting thing for a student of Zen, right? Ultimately, what we're looking for is some clear-eyed perception of reality, self,
Mm.
cosmos, something like that. But we are unable intrinsically to view the world without bias. But we
Mm-hmm.
can work to recognize the bias, and we can work to dissolve particular biases
Mm-hmm.
in moments, right? They re-arise, right?
Sure.
And everything that we do is based on our assessment of the situation, but our assessment is always biased. It's
Mm-hmm.
inescapable. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's very easy for us to say, I'm self confident, I'm an expert, I'm accomplished, I'm a smart person. Therefore, I'm going to teach you guys about your bias. No, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
They have it, sure, but you might be smart and accomplished and six black belts and all that, but you still have bias. It's the
Mm-hmm.
inescapable is an important thing. So I think that's a really important thing for people to understand who are self defenders. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really complex. There's a lot to it.
Mm-hmm. And the
Yeah.
next question is, if you could give every martial arts practitioner in the world one lesson or concept or philosophy or technique, what would the one thing be?
I would say technique was your word you used, or lesson.
The lesson, technique, philosophy, concept,
I would say Satyagraha would be the lesson.
and I'm not familiar.
In Mark Kurlansky's seminal book called Nonviolence,
Mm-hmm.
he starts the book by saying, at no point in human history has any people, any culture, any language ever had a word for nonviolence. Even the word I just used, nonviolence, is not a word for nonviolence. It's violence, which we definitely have a word for, and then not that. Even in Pali, we have ahimsa, which is harm, but it's not harm. It's ahimsa, right? Like anaerobic is not aerobic, right? Ahimsa. And he said, nobody has ever had a word to mean what I mean by nonviolence, which is not the same as pacifism, or being subdued or disengaged. There's an activity to it, like we talked about when we talked about listening or yielding. There's an engagement. And Satyagraha, Gandhi said, I've noticed this about the world. There's no word for nonviolence. So I will give the world that word, and that word is Satyagraha. Now the world has a word that means nonviolence. And here's what the world did with that. It's full of people that said what you said, like, huh? What? Never heard. I don't.
Right.
And I'm like, come on. Gandhi gave us the thing that we didn't have, and nobody knows it. So I would say that would be the lesson. And it translates as holding on to the truth.
Ooh.
Right. So the term for nonviolence is holding on to the truth, and you hold that truth up to the person that needs to see it, so that they can see what their violence does to themselves, to the world, to others. And you may very well do that at risk to yourself, right? That's the martial arts, the warrior part. That's very difficult. It may not be for everybody, but can you hold on to the truth? Can you hold it up? Can you hold it for the people to see that need to see it? So I think I have 3 founding principles in my school, and it's seva, satyagraha, and love. And none of them are kick and punch and block and spar and medals and trophies. That those aren't, they didn't make the list. It's just seva, which is service to other, insofar as you perceive another, which I would argue is not true, but you can still serve them. And then satyagraha, which is your interactions with them are nonviolent, which is active. It's not passive. And then love, which is, insofar as you perceive an other, build a bridge of love.
I love that. I love all of it.
Yay.
Was there anything that you didn't get a chance to say that you want to say?
No, I think I have 0 other stories and no other insights and nothing else at all to ever say. So this will be my last words on earth.
How very Taoist of you.
I'm going to go to Marshall Summit and I'm going to bring a wheelbarrow and say that Paul told us we need a wheelbarrow for the last day.
No.
I'm going to just say, I'm pretty sure that's what I heard him say. I just wheel a wheelbarrow in. Yeah.
Great.
No, I would say, for the martial artists listening, which I expect is most of the audience, reassess what you're most sure of, and seek to continue seeking. And wherever you are sure, SURE, wherever you're sure, that's where your work is. I tell my students that to the extent that you are someone else when you're entirely alone, that's where your work is. Because we all just give some version, some mask, some veil, some costuming to the world. And to that authenticity we talked about, that truth, is when I'm totally alone and I'm different than I am with other people, that can show me where the work is. I make it sound easy as if that's the same as doing the work, but at least I can point where the work is.
Right. Well, I mean, if you have a map, it does help you get on to a path. So,
yeah, that's great. Right. But the map is not the territory.
Right.
You have to
Right.
walk it, right? That's
Mhm.
the do in Taekwondo is
Mhm.
the walk, is the path, for
Mhm.
sure.
Where can people find you if you want to be found?
They can find me at patreon.com/somedayfarm, at somedayfarm .org, on Facebook, on YouTube. I think I'm probably all over the place. I have a newsletter I send out so people can hear all about everything if they reach out to me. If you want to just email me, it's farminghoursomedays@gmail.com. My school is called Someday Farm. So the
Mhm.
email is farminghoursomedays, plural, @gmail. And the farming is the seeds planted in students. There's no
Mm.
crops here apart from students.
How big? How big is your farm? Are you on a farm? Are you on land?
I was on a farm, but we moved, so we're not now. But so it's a smaller plot, but it was like 15 acres, horse farm.
Whoa,
So
that's
that's
cool.
where we started that idea. But I've had to move here because of health issues.
Mm.
Um, but so it's a smaller place, but the students are still the crops, and
Yeah.
so
No,
we
absolutely.
plant the seeds and nurture those seeds, as
Water
best
them.
as we can, I guess. Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
what for sure, water. That is the most important thing.
Hmm. Stephen, I want to thank you for being a part of the podcast, taking the time to talk to me. I also thank everybody that sits down because a little bit more over.
Yeah.
Now, whether
Oh,
you like it or not, you're part of my martial journey, and
yeah.
I thank you for that. You're also going to be a larger part of my martial journey here in a couple of weeks, and I look forward to that. I thank everybody at home that was listening, and as always, guys, keep kicking.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that you can somehow continue your journey within the martial arts with this. Um, I want to leave you two things. One, build the community. Say yes to the thing. Go out and fellowship with people that are like minded. It raises your vibration, it raises their vibration. Your voice has something to add to the conversation, whether you think it does or not. Paint the painting, make the podcast, record the short film, write the book, write the book. All the things, do them. If it's inside of you, nurture it and love it, grow it and get it out of there. And then go on to the next thing, whatever the next thing is. And if you would like to be a part of this podcast, and if you would like to open yourself up to discord about your perspectives, whether they conflict with mine, whether they align with mine, you can do so at keepkickingpod@gmail.com. Everybody have a great day or a great night whenever you're listening to this, watching this. Always, though, keep kicking.